on the One Network.
Hello and welcome everyone to the One People Show for this week. And as always, we've got Brian Kelly.
Hello everybody. Nice to see you, Lisa. Hi, Dee and John hiding back there in the background helping out with technical support.
Yeah, thank you, John, for being with us and helping us out this week. Dee, you're unmuted, yes?
I'm unmuted.
Welcome, guys. This is the last One People Show in its current format. As of next week, we will be live video broadcasting. So that's exciting.
Yeah.
Our mistakes will be live.
Yes, all the bloopers are going to be live from now on. Right. Yes.
Okay, looking back, this is, you know, for me, it's the 30th of December 2014. And it's been a remarkable year for all of us in particular. It's been a remarkable year for a lot of people. In their personal lives, it's been a hell of a year. It's been fun and games on a global scale. And there are, as you were mentioning, a lot of websites out there who are already doing the looking back at 2014 and taking a particular angle on it.
Yep.
And as we discussed last week, which there is no archive for various reasons, but there's no archive for last week's show. But we talked about how this time of year is often used with the distractions of Christmas and holidays and what have you, to get up to some nefarious.
Well, and to make some things public, right? So I put out Transpicuous News last night, and a couple of the articles that got, published on like December 25th when people are, distracted were very interesting. Very, very interesting.
And one of the things you guys know...
A quick recap.
Sorry? You're frozen, Brian, with a glass in your face.
Brian's drowning himself or his video's frozen.
You're back.
Yeah. Sorry, go ahead, Lisa.
Oh, I'm just being asked a question in the chat room of will we be taking callers again? Yes, we are looking into the various ways in which you can start calling into the live shows again. And that will be hopefully launching as well in sync with live video. So we miss being able to interact with you guys like that and have those conversations. Can barely hear you, Brian.
Shit.
Hey, Brian, you better go on your running shoes and run down the beach to my place again.
Test and see if people can hear me.
Where's your headset?
My right here.
That might be helpful.
All right, hold on.
And while you're getting sorted, one of the things that's had a big impact on me just over the last couple of weeks is an interview I did with John Lash. And there have been many, many conversations that have come up around this. And it's being shared, everywhere from what I can see. And for the most part, 99% of people are really, really, we'll use the word resonating, with what was part one of that, which was John relaying the Sophia myth and talking about the planet, who she is, where she came from, and how we came about. Talked about the Archons and how they came about. So that's kind of kosher with most people. Then we got to part two, And this is where the controversy starts. Firstly, there were people who were right there with him right throughout the fire myth, get to the part where he says, and all other ETs outside the Archons, which is the reptilians and greys, don't exist. They're a figment of military imagination. They're just a cover up for our own. Sorry? What'd you say, Brian?
I was going to say New Age imagination.
Yeah.
Can you hear me now?
A little bit better. There was just a lag there for a second.
Okay. Go ahead. I keep speaking out of turn. Go ahead.
That's nothing new, really.
No.
There's a major delay.
There is a major delay for you. Yeah, definitely.
You have awesome internet, Brian.
Yeah, Brian is clear now, says the chat room. So people who were with him right up to that point, he lost some at that point, because these are people who really, really connect with some of the ET races. They feel they are Palladian, or they Andromedan or Lyrian or whatever. And then the ones who managed to get past that got to the Kalika War Party and then went, whoa. Now, one of the things, this question, and because at the time that I was doing this interview, Harry Potter was on. Right? And
it just so happened my kids were watching the exact same day here.
Right.
Yeah.
So I'm watching the last one, the very last one, and where Harry confronts Voldemort and dies. And when he goes into this sort of ethereal train station and meets Dumbledore, there's this Voldemort, fetal Voldemort under the table. And I instantly looked at that as the Archon entity that is parasitically attached to many humans, supposedly, right? And Dumbledore's line was, there is nothing we can do for it. It's beyond our help. And it was in the process of Harry dying that allowed him to separate from this parasitic energy. And it just got me thinking, you know, the whole, where we've been for the last couple of years, and the whole embrace and love your partners in contrast, send them love and light. What if they are completely immune? What if all the love and light in the world, if John Lash is right and they're inorganic, they're almost a computer program kind of matrix construct, all the love and light in the world may have absolutely no effect. This is where my head is.
Mm-hmm.
So the idea of the Kalika War Party, or any other call to action, whatever that looks like, I guess it is in kind of contradiction to where we've been over the last couple of months, but I honestly can say that I felt the call. Now, I have no intention of joining the Kalika War Party or any other party, but a call to action is what I felt.
Yeah.
And I don't know, there's more for me to say on that, but I want to get you guys in on it first.
Oh yes, I have lots to say on this. Not sure how much should be said on the whole, but listen. We've been talking so many conversations that we've all had together. The things that just keep swinging forward and swinging into focus. Almost every day or every week anyway, there's another big piece that swings in. And I had a moment kind of like what you're talking about, even about 3-4 weeks ago. And I can't even remember what I was reading. And I'd read it, and then I was standing there just doing dishes, and all of a sudden it just kind of hit me of this whole, that one piece that you're talking about, you gotta, love your partners in contrast, and you gotta send them love, and all of a sudden I just sat there and was like, yeah, no, this so doesn't resonate with me anymore. And it was just this all of a sudden, this kind of sudden, and you have like memories of conversations stream back in, especially over the last 2 years, even a couple of the radio conversations we had. And I can remember one that we had, oh God, way back early 2013. And we were talking about, I can't remember, George Bush or someone. And I basically said, yeah, I just want to kick the guy in the balls. And I got told, yes, but you have to do it with love. And I was like, no, I don't. I'm just going to kick him in the balls. And I kind of went back to that moment of when, yeah, actually, that is how I feel. And there's this very much a detachment now.
I remember that because you said, I'll kick him first and then I'll tell him I love him.
Yeah, no, I think I told the person that they could tell him they love him. You can have him afterwards. I'll just kick him in the balls.
Just write "I love you" at the end of your steel toe boot, and you got all the bases covered.
I like it. Anyways, off topic. We're getting up to the side. But yeah, I came up to this really huge kind of awakening myself of really looking at some of these memes, if you will. These new age memes that we've been saying, and that we've kind of ideologies that we ourselves have been perpetuating. And all of a sudden sitting there kind of going, wait a second. If I'm going to send them my love, i.e. my energy, isn't that kind of what you want someone to do if you wanted to take their energy anyway? Is just kind of plant this whole meme about, oh, light and love, and send them the love, and all this, because you can help them and bring them back. Yeah, it's called an all-day 24-hour buffet. It's really...
One of the things that Lily brought to light, which I completely agree with, was that the energetic harvesting system is both positive and negative. It does it through
They
you,
don't care.
and it doesn't through... They don't care. So whether we are consciously and actively sending love and light, or whether we are unconsciously being negatively harvested through fear, results the same.
It's the same energy.
One thing that John talks about in the Kalika War Party is using anything and everything from shamanic energetic practices all the way through to literally killing these individuals. And I don't think that we're going to get where we want to be by simply eliminating them, because in a way they're a symptom, in my view. If we don't, firstly, they're like the snake that you cut the head off, it grows two back. I mean, for every person in a position of perceived power in this matrix, there's 100 lined up to take their place. So that would be an ongoing battle. It needs to be a two-pronged approach in my view. That, yeah, I think we do need to actively address the situation, but I also think we actively need to address our own consciousness. Unless and until the collective reaches a particular level of consciousness. And I realize that, and we've talked about this too, that, you know, for every person who's at this level of consciousness, they kind of counteract X number of people at this level or whatever. But until that scale is tipped, until the aggregate is in a positive, and I mean, I may be creating my own reality in a very micro scale, but in terms of my immediate environment, I mean, how I create in my home and with my family and with my friends and with my inner circle. Yeah, I feel like I have the ability and the power to create my own reality within that small sphere. But when it comes to a global on a global level. It requires the collective. I'm participating in that collective creation. And it works on an aggregate. It works on a percentage basis. I am not going to be able to create my global reality, my entire experience, without the help of everybody else that's involved.
By sitting in a quiet room and meditating 24 hours a day, basically.
Yeah.
Navel gazing and sending love and light to everything. I just don't think it's going to work.
I have so much to say about this.
Oh, well, goody, go.
This topic. First of all, let me say that I am not afraid to admit that I bought into so much of the New Age rhetoric, hook, line, and sinker.
Oh, yes. All of us.
It filled a gap in a void in my life at a time when I needed it. It replaced my religious background like it was designed to do. I don't resonate with religion. I don't resonate with dogma. So, hey, come check out this new thing going on over here. You don't have to worry about any of that stuff. And I swore by it. And I go back and I look at a lot of my blog posts, and I perpetuate a lot of these messages. And it was brilliant. The creation of the New Age movement was a brilliant move, counter move on the dark or the Illuminati, whatever you want to call them, on their part, because they saw that things that divergence, like the movie, were getting out of control, and they needed to contain them again. So all of a sudden, this concept of being awake, this New Age business, it caused people to go back to sleep in a certain to a certain extent. And now the many people that are resonating with Mark Passio stuff, with the John Lam Lash stuff, they're now waking up again for their second time, realizing the rhetoric in so many of these comments, stuff that comes from people like Heather, Bob even, and so many others. And I think that means that this is the time for the new version of waking up, where we wake up from all that stuff also. You talk about, you go through, anybody that hasn't watched the Mark Passio New Age bullshit, the about the divine masculine, suppression of the divine masculine. When we're talking about this partners in contrast, love everyone and to reform, this concept of forgiveness has been so bastardized. Forgive, 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 even if people aren't sorry. And the ludicrousy in that, for me now, is like, you take all these elitists, you got the Rothschilds and the Morgans and the Vatican people and the Bush cartel and all that stuff. There's a lot of people within those factions that are jumping ship, realizing the nefarious nature of their ways and wanting to reform, truly, allegedly. Now, I don't know any of them personally, but I've heard stories. I'm starting to correct myself now, pawning off stories as if they're facts, because I don't know for sure. I'm just going based off of what I've heard. So in a situation like that, you can see passion is oozing right now. This stuff is like, I'm relearning everything all over again. For people that truly want reform and they're sincere about it, I will be the first one to accept their apology. And that goes for all my closest friends and family, as well as the dark and whoever has done anything wrong. There's this beautiful YouTube video that I found of a man. It was a guy who committed murder, and he was completely he's hopped up on all sorts of drugs. He went to prison. He had a true reformation. And the mother came in and forgave this man for killing his daughter. And when this guy got out of jail, they went on a speaking tour, going around teaching people of the importance of forgiveness. I'm the biggest proponent of forgiveness. When people are truly sorry.
Exactly.
When they're really sorry, when they realize what they've done is wrong, and they're man enough and woman enough to admit it, they deserve the apology. And I don't care what it is that they've done. I realize that might be hard. If I'm a father and I lose my child, and I'm not a father, it might be a very difficult thing for me to do to forgive someone that killed my child. I realize that somebody with a child, they might say that in response to some of these things that I'm saying right now. But there's a lot of these people out there that aren't sorry, and they represent true evil on this planet. And they don't give a shit if they flip a switch and 1 billion people die. So for those people out there, when John Lam Lash says they deserve to be eliminated, I agree wholeheartedly. Because they either go or they keep taking people down with them. And I am not a man of violence. The New Age movement convinced me that turning the other cheek was the best strategy, always. And I became a lover and not a fighter. And I would be, if people were starting to throw blows, I convinced myself fighting is not the answer. But defending yourself is 150,000% okay, always. And if you have to do so by force, do it. Because we as sovereign beings do not, and we're not created to be walked on by people that intend harm on defenseless people that cannot defend themselves. So guess what? I am pissed off now. And I'm all right being pissed off, because it's not pissiness or anger based from fear. This has nothing to do with fear. I'm not pissed because I'm afraid about anything. I'm pissed because I gave my rights away. And it was a lot of this New Age business that resulted in me doing that. And now I'm realizing the error of my ways. And guess what? I'm on a mission to help people come pull that fog out and man up. Because war isn't, you don't fight war with more war. I don't think the Calico War Party, I think that's part of the reason why maybe it is getting that name. This word war is like, it goes down like acid. Even for me, it's like, oh, even as reading the Calico War Party stuff, it's like, I get it, but man, the worth that factor was just not sitting right in my stomach. But there is a time and a place for defending oneself with force when necessary. That's why I'm pro-gun. I don't believe in gun control, because the people need to be able to defend themselves with arms if that's what's necessary. And anybody that knows me, that hears me say this, they know I'm a love-filled being. That's all I am. But I'm tired of getting walked on. And there's a lot of people like me that are tired of getting walked on too. And when we stand up together and we resist with non-compliance, that might be all it takes. Guess what? Our power is restored to where it belongs, within us, and we stop giving it away to others. That's just a small piece of what I have to say about this.
Well, you know what, there's a point here that's really interesting. Because I agree with everything Brian just said, literally word for word. I agree with him. There's a point, too, and it comes in with what you were talking about, Lisa, that right now we're working within our own, creating our own small reality, which is within our inner circle. And that in order for the grander scheme of creating reality to really play out, as you said, there's a certain amount of people that need to be working on it together, so to speak, right? A percentage-wise, whatever that happens to be. One of the things that's really hit home to me in the last few months is that's what our journey is, for me anyway, is to be out there and talk to the people and show the people and say, do you understand? Do you really see what this whole New Age memes are about? Do you not see the way they are using those to control you into compliance? Turn the other cheek. Be sweet, love, and light. No, you don't want to punish them because, you know.
Well, it's promoting and promulgating passivity. And
it is. It's propagating what you said, putting yourself back to sleep. And it's so funny because the vast majority of people who've gotten to that stage have already gone through this massive uphill battle to wake up. And then they hit this plateau, and it's like, oh, the love and light and that whole thing. It's like, oh, I'm just going to go back to sleep now because I'm going to meditate and stay at my navel for the next 12 hours a day for the next eternally. And this is it. I'm not commenting and saying that meditating isn't a wonderful thing. I myself meditate, so that's not what I'm saying. But there's a point now where we need to take it back and help everyone else wake up to the realities of the wool that's been pulled over very expertly over everyone's eyes.
There's so many things I want to say about this. I'm not even sure where to start. Yes, Brian.
I got a few things I want to add to.
I
Just really quickly.
Nick wants to get in on this conversation, I think, too.
I have no right to speak in on any of this. The disembodied voice just...
Yeah, you do.
Hi, everyone. Thank you. The past is responsible for where we are now. We created in our moments, in our past, to get us to where we are now. Listening to people say it's all done, there's nothing to worry about, there's nothing to do, keeps people from doing anything now to create the future. And right now is one of the most important times when people need to be doing things to create that future. So that new age, oh, it's all done, just leave it, that's stopping everything.
Okay, go, Brian, before I start, because I don't know how.
Well, one of the things I'm about to put a blog post out about the New Age bullshit. Mark Passio. Just one quote at him. He says, "Righteous indignation, when channeled productively, can be a major motivation to create positive change in the world." And I so resonate with that. I so believe that. Is that it can be when we get angry with some of the terrible things that are happening on this planet. It's all in a matter of how we channel that anger or that feeling or that emotion or whatever it might be. Things can be channeled into violence and hate and fear, or they can be channeled into positive action. You know, there's allegories in the Bible about this. Jesus whipping the money changers, you know? He was pissed, and he channeled it for good. So
we were just talking about exactly that today. Brian, we were just having exactly that conversation today. That is really funny.
Synchronicity. So what the New Age movement did is it's so unbelievably brilliant. They did a lot better. They packaged memes, rhetoric that had a lot of validity to it. You know, as an example, you take one like ignore the negative, right? Put your head in the sand. Don't focus on the negative. Whatever you give focus to, you're just allowing it to continue to manifest and perpetuate. Yeah, I understand. We shouldn't spend all of our time every day looking at the negative and getting bummed out about it and, you know, feel defeated and all that stuff. But we can't stick our heads in the sand and pretend it doesn't exist.
Well, that's what I've been saying for years, that light will be shone in all the dark places. And the only way to shine that light on it is to look at it.
Look at it.
And only then can you be empowered to do something about it, to change it. I mean, the reason I briefly mentioned this before we went live. Everybody seems to know and understand that their greatest tool is mind control. Now, if their greatest tool is mind control, it's because our greatest tool is our mind.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, exactly.
That has to be our most powerful tool for it to be their most powerful attack weapon. And which is where we get back to the collective imagination and infusing that. And the other thing is how, you know, black magic and magic has got a bad name, but energetics, that's got a good name. It's the same freaking thing. It's exactly the same thing. It's all energy. It's all working with energy. It's all playing, manipulating, whatever energy. It's all about your intent. It's your intent is the only difference between black magic and playing and working with the energetics. And it's okay for people in the New Age movement to say, oh, well, I work with the energetics. But if someone says I dabble in black magic, it's like, whoa, you're doing the same thing. It's all about your intent. And there's no, if black magic is being used to manipulate the collective consciousness and collective imagination, then why should we not use energetics to counteract that? To consciously work and play with those energetics with a positive intent as a form of self-defense, if nothing else.
Yep. And I mean, we actually had a quiet conversation, Lisa and I, a little while ago, and we were talking about exactly that, that some of what we experienced, especially in the last year, was as we were working with the energetics and doing things, and then looking back in hindsight and realizing that afterwards, those energetics were being twisted, changed, as if we go in and do something, thereby giving notice of what it is that's coming, and then all of a sudden, someone would go in and kind of change it around to suit that agenda.
The other thing,
yeah,
go on.
I was just going to say real quick, my first exposure to some of this stuff was Cameron Day's "Why I Am No Longer a Lightworker" that came out sometime in 2013, and that was when I started to kind of really look at it through a different set of lenses, some of the New Age rhetoric. And it's almost like this light faction was created to where, now you got these polarized sides. The light is against the dark, and
all we can see is the blur of waving hands. So
okay, that was the only time I did it. Thank you very much. So but I was trying to make a point. Let me go slower. Light, dark, right? And so what's happened as a result is, let me use an example. Jorge watched he comes out one morning yesterday and he goes, dude, we got to watch the movie Apocalypto, the Mel Gibson movie that came out in 2006. And he's on fire right now. Jorge, that guy is on fire about this Mark Passio, this New Age bullshit being exposed, because he did not like the Partners in Contrast stuff when it was coming out. And he swallowed that pill like it was a horse tranquilizer and choked it down and couldn't stand it. And so now he's like coming out of that sleep. And we don't realize, it's time to realize again that, we have this amazing warrior spirit in us. We're warriors, and that's not about fighting. It's just about, we are these passionate, capable creator beings that shouldn't be fucked with, period. And what's a great way to suppress that warrior spirit?
Yeah.
Create the New Age movement.
Yep.
And guess what?
It's only your perspective, Brian.
Is anybody saying that in the chat room?
No, I am. That's the other one that's killing me right now. It's just
my perception.
Couch. That was too funny, Lisa.
Because what I've seen personally, all right, and you guys know this, is how that particular meme has been used by people to take zero responsibility for their actions, zero responsibility for their behavior.
I'm just a mirror, Lisa.
Yeah, you're just a mirror. You're just a mirror, and it's just your perspective. And to enable someone to literally do harm to another, and it's your perspective that you're choosing to feel harmed by my actions. And why would you choose that perspective? Why are you choosing the perspective of a victim? What is it about you that chooses the victim perspective? It's not me and my actions. I'm fine with me and my actions. It's simply your perspective. And that has been, okay, let me put it this way. One of the reasons I even do what I do, and I've done what I've done for the last 5 or 6 years, whatever it's been, in talking to people, is because I've got this underlying knowing that there is an absolute and objective truth to who we are, where we came from, and what we're doing here. Not a subjective one of it's just my perspective. That's been the reason for it. And I have yet to find, and I know the answer's in here somewhere within, I get that. But I've yet to find somebody who has the complete picture. I think each and every one of us are consciously aware of some aspect of it. And that whole it's just your perspective thing is one of the things that never quite sat right with me, because, and yet it still confuses me, because there's arguments for both. You know, I mean, it's one of the reasons why witness testimony is so unreliable in the court of law. One event, 6 witnesses, 6 different stories
6 stories
of what just went down. And the question is, does that then mean that no individual can ever know the objective truth, the objective reality, because all you can ever know is your perspective of that? That's one argument and one question. However, you know, how can I illustrate this? You put 6 people around a table and you put an apple on the middle of the table, and everybody is seeing their particular slice of the apple. And as far as those 6 people are concerned, that's what's real. Is there's this much of an apple on the table. But when you raise your perspective, when you raise your consciousness, you see the underlying objective fundamental truth is that there is a whole apple on the table. So both are true. It's like it's a paradox that there is truth within the paradox. And this is one I've been struggling with. Because I've not been able to let go of that absolute knowing in my gut that there is an objective fundamental truth. And I do believe we can know it. Does all of that make sense?
Yeah, and I really do think, I mean, this is one of the things,
Yeah.
like you, we're all on a journey to try and find the answers. And I personally don't think that any one person has all the answers. And that's why we talk to so many people and we reach out and we say, okay, what's your piece of this? And you listen and you take from it what resonates, and what doesn't, you say, okay, and you move on. Whether we're talking about Mark Passio or John Lunlash and Lily Earth, and we've got the Wingmakers documents. We have so many amazing people have come forward with their piece. And I don't think any one of them is wrong or necessarily right. But all we can do is find the pieces that resonate with us. Now, the one thing I wanted to comment on is you mentioned the whole we are a mirror for each other. And this is one of those things where I agree and I disagree. For me, I can remember being told, oh God, it was like 25 years ago, by a psychology student that most of the time, if there's something that someone does that really annoys you, it's because you yourself also do the same thing, and it's kind of like a reaction. So because of that, I actually have spent a lot of time looking at that mirror, and when someone does something and it really just is like that.
And sometimes it bothers you because it's such in opposition to who the hell you are and how you would behave, and then you cannot believe another human being behaves that way.
Well, the thing is that these things,
recognizing the reflection, and then it's sometimes saying, no, that reflection is not me. That's just me saying, wow, you're fucked up.
Well, the thing is the reason why these concepts are so elusive is because when you start testing them against real life situations, all of a sudden all the cracks in this all-inclusive approach of trying to put everything into this bag of one size fits all truth, it doesn't make any sense. Like you use the example of no right and wrong. There's no such thing as right and wrong, you know? It's such a dualistic concept. It's so polarized. Right and wrong. Yeah, I understand that at some subatomic level in the quantum reality field that we live in, that right and wrong, there is no difference. It's all energy. But when you play out what's taking place on the planet right now, you can't go into a sex trafficking, child raping slaughterhouse and say, you know, this isn't wrong. It just is, and it's all energy. Now that's what births the energetic of complacency. And
But also, aren't we saying in that moment that this is okay with me? And every time we are confronted with something that we do not resonate with, and we choose not to engage, we choose not to see it for what it is, we choose not to see it as negative, bad, wrong. Every time we make that choice to turn a blind eye, we're putting that into the collective, and we're basically telling the collective that this is okay with me. Mm-hmm. Are we not? Or am I? And yes. It perpetuates. Has to perpetuate. Okay, the chat room is super quiet. I really want to hear what you guys are thinking about this conversation right now.
You know what I want to do? You know what would be fun? I have a few of the slides here. I can't show my. Can I share my screen on this call or no?
Let me see.
We'll see it in the video.
Yeah. Try it.
Okay,
what slides have you got?
Here. I have the slides from the Mark Passio New Age bullshit. The New Age deceptions, top 10 New Age deceptions.
Oh, okay.
We can go through some. Let me see here. Let me share it. Let me see if I can share my screen. Share screen only. Did it work? Can you guys see my screen?
Yes.
Yeah?
Yep.
Okay. We already covered the first two. Ignore the negative, right? And never get angry. Here's another great one right here. We're all one, so it's all good.
Oh, okay. This is the other one that I've seen be used as an excuse. I can't harm you because I can't harm myself. And we're all one. I can't steal from you because we're all one. I can't harm you because we're all one. Again, this is primarily used as a defense.
Yeah, and I'm sorry, like, wow. It's one of those ones that you have to sit there and go, really, because you're right, everything that Lisa just said, I have heard people try and justify so many actions with exactly that. Well, you know, we're all one. Like, you know, we don't need to judge those guys, and we don't need to no, because we're all one, so it doesn't matter.
Well, you know, I mean, the thing is like, this is another, how do I get off my screen here? I don't need to do this anymore. This is another one of those situations where
up the top.
You take a concept up at the top.
You should say more.
Where you take a concept like, oh, here it is. Okay, here we go. Where you take a concept like we're all one, which I fundamentally agree. We are all one. We are all connected. We are part of the same universal consciousness.
But we are individuated aspects of that.
It's all good.
We are each individuated aspects with our own boundary.
Mm-hmm.
And there's a couple of
Yep.
comments have come up in the
We
chat
live in
room.
a fractal universe. Okay,
I just
what's
want
up?
to address these if we can. One from Ambiflex. Hi, gorgeous. Hi, Lisa. I've always been an exceptionally gentle soul. Yes, she is. But yes, I am grooving on what you are saying. I have noticed within myself that I frequently have spurts of righteous anger these days. And I just, as soon as I read that, I got a visual of Samuel Jackson in Pulp Fiction, righteous indignation. And we've been dumbed down and numbed to feeling that righteous indignation. It's not spiritual. It's not evolved. It's not awake to feel these emotions. I mean, I was born angry. And anybody who's read my blog posts on my story knows that I was born angry. And from the age of 3 or 4, I was angry about the state of the world I found myself in, even at that young age. I knew it was all wrong. And over the last, and this has not come down to any one person or any one event or any one piece of information. This has been, I guess you could say, the energetic trail. People, circumstances, and events have come into my life over the last 4 weeks that have just made me go click, 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 and reawoken that righteous indignation, that righteous anger within, than that warrior within.
The warrior spirit.
The warrior spirit, and she's pissed. She's seriously pissed right now. And this is not about jumping on any other bandwagon, believe me. This is more about me than I've been in a while. And I mean, honestly, if I was in their situation, the first thing I would want to do is pacify the enemy. Lull them into a state of love and light security. It's perfect.
Yep.
The next comment is from Abu, which is Callie. I think it's important to remember that while we are creators of reality, that we are sharing this space with 7 billion co-creators. Absolutely. And that's where we come back to that aggregate of, you know, getting the majority of our co-creators to be on the same page and live with a moral and ethic that is in agreement.
Can I just make a little proviso in there?
Yeah.
What was that, Brian?
Go ahead.
Well, what I was going to say is not to be on the same page, but to be on their own page, as in free from the mind control, free from
absolutely
the. Do you know what I mean? Because this is the whole thing. You know, I've been a fighter my whole life. I honestly have been. And the same type of thing. I've always had this warrior spirit. And I had kind of this 2-year sort of indoctrination of how I had to, you know, dampen that down to the point of actually getting, let's face it, kind of teased and kind of made fun of. Oh, look, there goes Dani. She's off on a rampage again. But you know what? Like, that's who I am. And when I see shit happen, I'm going to stand up and say, yeah, it's not fucking right. I'm sorry. You're wrong. And I'm going to call someone on the bullshit. And that's where I think everyone needs to come back, is back to their own space of their own selves, not blindsided by, you know, new age memes or religious teachings or political rhetoric, but to actually be able to come back to themselves and do what is genuinely within them to move forward.
Agreed.
I love the way that Mark in the video, he talked about the polarization of the all left brain or all right brain, and that being the foundation for mind control. You know, when you're all left brain, you have this master mentality. It's all based on logic, and you're looking to rule over others. When you're all right brain, you take on this pacifist mentality, and you're more wed to the savior meme. You know, I'm gonna be saved, and you know, and this savior mentality, the savior archetype, and that's what religion is all based around, and the New Age religion as well. I mean, I'm not gonna lie, for a while.
Well, the New Age religion's got more saviors than traditional cultural religion. Every race of ETs, we've got inner Earth people, we've got angels.
And this is like, it's for me now, you know, it's okay to stand for something. It's like, I believe complacency is the enemy of progress. When we're complacent in a world that needs action to repair it, that complacency is the ultimate enemy. I think that the archonic energy that everybody talks about, it ultimately, what it wants to do, yeah, it feeds on fear. Yeah, it feeds on violence and hate and all these things, but it also feeds on complacency.
Yep.
And I think that, you know, right now, call me a preacher. I'm preaching something right now. And it's unity. And it's getting together with people that have the same kind of like mind. All last year and the year before that, I said, you know what? It's our job to wake people up. It's going to happen on their own, on its own. To a certain extent, I agree with that. Yeah, you can't force people into a state of awakening. You can't force it. You can't jam it down their throats. Whether you're waking up the first time or waking up from all the New Age bullshit. But you know what you can do? You can plant a shitload of seeds. And when people gather in like minds, the thing is, this world is full of people that want to see and stand for change. Full of them. Billions. But they're compartmentalized right now.
Yeah.
And I think that what is going to happen over the course of this next year, that people are going to realize their power in numbers when people get together and stand for something and really stand for change and ask themselves on a daily basis, what can I do now to attack without violence the status quo? The status quo that people have learned to love because it provides comfort. That is what needs to really be looked at, and I think that some of the stuff that we're doing with the One Network and the CCN and all that stuff, this is ultimately what I'm now an advocate for, is gather with other people that feel the same way and start to create ways that are actual action items that will start to create this foundation for true, lasting, and tangible change. And it can happen on so many levels, and it doesn't take a lot of effort, just a commitment. And that's so much that can be done when people start to gather with like mind.
Well, we had a conversation in one of my Skype rooms just a couple of days ago, and that whole topic of came up, and I couldn't even possibly quote the original comment, but it was along the lines of basically what you can't, everyone will wake up when they're ready, and you can't do anything to force anyone to wake up. But I agree with what Brian just said. It's not about going into some poor person sleeping and shaking them as hard as you can until they wake up, but you plant the seeds. And I've been a seed planter for 20 years, and I've had the incredible experience of people coming back to me, sometimes years later, to ask for more information or to say, thank you so much. I know that I was like a real shit to you at the time when you told me these things, but now I get it. And these are the seeds that plant. Someone cannot unhear what they've heard. They cannot unread what they've read. And yes, you might not be able to change their mind or make them see the point that you're trying to get across, but the seed's there. And that is the most important job that I think that we have right now, is to be seed planters.
Well, actually, Jeff just put a comment in here too, and he posed the question that John Lamb Lash posed, which is, how are we going to get beyond exposing to opposing? And it almost feels to me, I was thinking about this a couple of weeks back looking at Facebook, I mean, people are exposing things left, right, and center, and that's where it stops. It becomes a Facebook post so that you know about it, and then that's it. And what do we do from there? And I think this year is crunch time. I really do. It feels like all stops are being pulled to move forward with the agenda. We are among many who are waking up from the New Age meme. It's all happening at the same time. Calls to action are going out, not just from John Lash, but others. It feels like it's going to come to a head this year, and it's going to require a hell of a lot more than just putting a post up on Facebook and exposing something.
Yeah.
We then need to make a choice about what we're going to do about it, because once it's exposed, then we know about it, and our action from that point forward tells the collective what's okay with us and what isn't.
Yep. And I'll give you an example. This is really important, and it's something that I lost sight of for a little while there. Actions speak very loudly, and people can make fun of petitions and things like this. But I know for a fact, after 15 years of being a political advocate, petitions, emails to government, going out and writing to newspapers and things like that actually works. I have at times spent hundreds of hours putting people together in groups to take action on one specific thing that has come up politically. And I mean, poured hundreds of hours into it. And yeah, it was hard work, but in the end, we got change.
Well, actually, one of the things I wanted to bring back was the flash mobs. Let's do the flash mobs. One show a week dedicated, even just half an hour, something like that, where we get online and we actually do these flash mobs. And it can be emails, it can be on blasting someone's Facebook page, it can be phone calls, or whatever. And we then take that as the call for the week, and if everybody does an action over the course of that week, laser focused on a particular objective, and we had a lot of fun with that, let's face it.
We did.
I love that idea, and I think that what a really great exercise could be for somebody that's motivated and inspired out there and listening live. As a result of this show, because I will be sharing, this show is one that needs to get out there, and I'm going to share it all over Facebook, and I don't care if people don't do anything with it at all. I still agree that the first step is in awareness. You're either aware or you're not aware. You can make more informed choices from a place of awareness than you can a place of ignorance. And this is about awareness, and awareness has not hit as populous. In 2015 and 2014 was a year a lot of awareness was raised. 2015 it's going to amp up a bunch of notches if I have to give my predictions now. But I think that a really good exercise for somebody out there could be to come up with 100 ways that we feed the system. Because ultimately, it is our energy that allows the system to continue and to allow it to have all of this perceived power over us.
Yep.
We feed it. We feed it with our labor. We feed it with our taxes. We feed it with where our money goes to support, corporations and banking. And we support all of these things. The people that are out there still sleeping, and many of the people that are awake, we still feed the system. There's so many ways. If we had a list of all of the ways that we feed the system, we could start to create groups, and we could start to help people understand, raise awareness around all of the facets in every area of our lives that we feed the system, and we could start pulling those plugs out from the wall. Because ultimately, all it takes is a mass populace of people to non-compliance is a very powerful tool. if 6 million people didn't go to work tomorrow in the United States, guess what would happen to the system? It would go through an extreme level of shock.
Yep.
And I think that it would be a really good awareness tool for even all those out there that are doing good, to help people understand what's really going on in the world. A really good awareness tool for people to understand all of the different levels in which we allow the system to continue. Government it requires the consent of the people, or else government, by the way, for anybody who hasn't looked into the etymology of government, if you break it down, is to control the mind. That's also in Mark Passio's video. So this is how these small steps. See, the thing is, I talk about the stuff with the nine gifts of Gaia stuff that I'm working on right now. It's like, it's common for humanity, for individuals to see major problems like poverty and think, well, shit, how am I supposed to have any effect? I'm just one person. And we do the same thing with a lot of this work. Is like, the system is so powerful. What am I going to do to break it down? And that's such a limited perspective. It's such a limited, I think that if we understand, if we truly start to kind of grasp all the ways that, all the power that we truly have, we have so
but I
much.
think that's huge. I mean, look at
This huge.
we have to be so incredibly powerful for all of the means by which they have used to try and control us. I mean, it's mind control through so many different means, and it starts at birth. They attack us in some cases in utero, but from the moment you're born, your body, your mind, and your spirit are all attacked front on. It's not even subtle. It's not even subtle. It's the vaccination is a full frontal attack on your body when you're an infant. Education is, for those who want to look at it, mainstream education is absolutely a full frontal attack on your mind. So is religion. So how powerful must we be for so much energy, time, resources to be invested in just keeping us complacent?
Yep.
We haven't even gotten to the worst one yet.
What?
Accept, and never resist. Talk about the ultimate complacency tool.
Acceptance.
Whoa! Like,
Acceptance for what is.
I understand the concept of acceptance. I understand when I get a flat tire and I'm on the side of the road having to fix it, that happened and I got to deal with it, and I shouldn't resist by kicking my car. Change the tire, accept what happened. Change the freaking tire. But it doesn't apply across the board to everything. How could we possibly accept mass oppression, human slavery, child sacrifice, sex trafficking? We are supposed to accept these things because they're a part of our reality, and ultimately people are playing out their karma, and it's a function of their soul growth. Come on, that's the ultimate as far as I'm concerned.
We've got quite a few comments coming through now.
Okay, let's hear them.
Ambi Flex, who is such a gentle soul, said, "F you falls out of my mouth more than ever before when I'm observing and noticing the bullshit that the control matrix expects us to swallow." Jeff is saying, I actively am saying, I do not consent to the collective consciousness majority. I'm an outsider. No? I think that's what he meant. And will oppose with counter intent. Abu said, I wish I could find it now, but there was a great meme that went something like, sometimes I picture Eckhart Tolle running for his life through the forest, being chased by rabid wild dogs, and I just want to say to him, it's your reaction to the situation, not the situation itself. Yeah, that's all tied in with it's just your perspective. It's just how you choose to see.
Positive. You could send the rabid dogs love and light And maybe
Well,
they
you know
won't.
what? Everybody needs to go out if they haven't already and watch the movie Divergence.
Mm-hmm.
What's happening right now in the world is we are all, first of all, everyone is a Divergent. Anybody that hasn't watched the movie Divergent, basically it takes place after some post-World War III type of scenario, and the government created factions of people to allegedly keep the peace. That was their story. That was their meme. You know, we have to group people into the social workers and the tough people, or the military, the police, and then you have the intelligence, and you know, you got all these factions, and everybody has to choose one. And every once in a while, one person comes about and they don't fall into one of the factions, and that person is called a divergent because they've diverged from the order of things. And what I think is going on right now is, first of all, all of us here, we're all divergents probably from birth. We just didn't know it yet, and we're realizing it sooner. A lot of the people in the chat room, a lot of these let's call them alternative media followers, a lot of these folks are divergents as well. And the masses, they're starting to wake up and realize it, and start to realize their divergent nature. We are, as individual human souls, cannot be put into boxes. Guess what? We're lions. Our energy can't be contained. We've just been fooled into believing that it can be contained. And so this divergence is our warrior spirit. You know, it's our ability to stand in our power and stand in our truth and say, no, I'm sorry. I love the movie Yes Man. It's great to say yes to things and make life an adventure. But sometimes we just got to say, fuck no. And I think a lot of the stuff that people are realizing that they're just lying down on the railroad tracks and dealing with, it's just not okay anymore. And so the reawakening of our divergent spirit is a powerful concept. And it happens by showing people through our actions, not our words. This post Auschwitz, or whatever you want to call it, reality for me, that's what it is. It's all about action. What are we going to do to take action steps? Tangible, thoughtful considerable steps to move the ball forward in this thing. Because I agree, you know, there's so much of the just sharing things on Facebook stuff.
Sorry, Jeff just put in the Opal Tour of Action.
The Opal Tour of Action. I like it.
And it looks like the idea of the flash mobs is well received.
We'll have to give you a little. This is Nick's, and he's not coming back. He's sitting in a corner. He's not coming back on screen again. So I'm going to tell this story. And Nick has been saying this for literally years. And Brian, you touched on it when you said about government and the fact of this is their control. And Nick has been saying for years, you know what, if all the people were just to get up, you get like 100,000 people from each city to go and just circle the government buildings, just stand there and say, yeah, we no longer require your services, you're fired. That's it. Just don't let them go to work. Don't let them do their job that they're fucking up anyway. God knows, listen to Transcriptuous News. The shit that I just reported on yesterday with the American government is just wholly ridiculous. So literally, it's kind of like that. If the people were to stand up and just be like, no, we don't consent, and we no longer require your services. Thanks.
Well, actually, just put a couple of comments in here, and I want you to elaborate, Jeff, if you can, on your thoughts about protesting.
I almost brought it up.
Because we've even been lulled into, and I don't know whether it's a good thing or not, we've been lulled into the idea of not protesting, because protesting just gives them an opportunity to be oppressive even more. And that I do know that there are many activists who have been very, very active in the protesting scene who have of late have stopped, because they've either been so disappointed and feel like it's ineffectual, or it's become too dangerous, or it's giving them an opportunity to just be to twist it through mainstream media so the story never really gets out. Protesting is asking
the story is getting out. Right now, in the last 72 hours, millions of people all over the world are marching. Like millions in the States. If you go look on YouTube, the live feed stuff that's coming in from all over the States from earlier this week, Spain, all over South America. Haiti has been in political uprising for a month solid. The people have
mainstream reporting on this?
Little bits, but it doesn't matter because the thing is this, more and more people are not listening to the mainstream. More and more people are starting to wake up and go, yeah, CNN, I don't really believe you guys anymore. And people are starting to see a post on Facebook that shows a picture of, 100,000 people standing in a square in downtown Barcelona, and yet CNN goes, hundreds of people protested in Spain, and they go, whoa, wait a second, and they go back to the picture and go, well, that's not hundreds of people, that's like hundreds of thousands of people.
Yeah.
We had that in Canada, and listen, back 3 years ago, in Montreal, the people in Quebec, in the province of Quebec, went ballistic over a whole bunch of changes in education. And the mainstream media were running with stories of like, a couple hundred people were protesting in Montreal today, and we were blasting Facebook with photos showing the entire city shut down. There were 3 million people on the streets in Montreal. 3 million people! This city only has 3 million people in it. Yet the streets, for as far as you could see, was a sea. And I cannot tell you how many people who were the most, I hate to coin a phrase, but asleep people were seeing these pictures and going, that's Montreal, but the news CTV just said it was like 200 people. And I'm like, no, that's not it. And there were a lot of people all of a sudden started going, oh, wait a second, there's more to this than I know. Sometimes it does take a post on Facebook to start people thinking.
Here's what I'll say about, if you would have asked me this question last year, I would have told you it's a waste of time, because that's what I was told by people I believe and trusted. Now my view is different. I think protesting can be a very powerful tool. I mean, if the fact of the matter is, if 5 billion people were out protesting right now, guess what? Tomorrow the world will be a different place, period. End of story. But the thing is protesting for many people, it's like church for religious people. Sunday is their day to be holy. And then on Monday, they go back to their nefarious, deceit-filled lives, right? So I'm not saying that it's the same for protesters, but what I'm saying is after the protest, so many of those people go back and they don't have any follow. There's no follow through. There's no tangible action that follows the protest. Now, I'm not saying this for all protests.
No.
But I am for a lot of protests. A lot of the protests that happen out in Washington, D.C., you get 100,000 people out the streets. It's going to send a very powerful message. But that next day, what do they do? Follow through with their mission to
well, most of them go back to work in the corporate world and feed the matrix again.
Yep. And that's the thing. I think the reason why there isn't a massive uprising because there's this illusionary belief that we need the system, that we need it for our very survival. Well, if there's no system, how are we going to get our tax back? And how are we going to get our food? And how are we going to get our this? And how are we going to get our that? We need it. There's this dependency, this illusionary dependency upon the system that's made people need it no matter what. I'm happy to be a slave because I need the system.
I think that's agreeing with you in regards to protesting too. It's that protesting is too unorganised and too easily infiltrated with no solution ever given for the groups to act out. It does need to be a long plan of action and a series of action steps, not just everyone go out one day and congregate in the same space. Yeah.
Yep.
But the one thing that does happen, and this is, and I've been to many protests in the last 25 years. The one thing that sometimes happens is the fact that, for example, and I'll tell you, this was huge for me. This was a changing moment in my life. When I was about 21, and I was just hearing about all the stuff about apartheid in South Africa. And I was starting to really educate myself on it and trying to talk to other people, and no one had a clue what I was talking about. They didn't care. It was like, that's South Africa. And you feel very isolated and alone. And I happened to go downtown Toronto one day. I can't even remember what the reason was. And there was a massive protest outside the South African embassy. And it ended up literally turning into like this amazing, almost like a street carnival. Like there were people singing, there were people dancing, but there was several thousand people there. And I went from this feeling of I'm all alone in this, no one has any clue what I'm talking about, to going, oh my God, look at all these other people who know what I'm talking about. And it really made me kind of come up and go, fuck yeah, I'm going to keep fighting for this because I'm not the only one. And that's what, last winter, I started doing the article about the People's Stand. And I was listing in the 2013 and 14 all the political uprisings, all the demonstrations happening all over the world. And I wasn't doing it as a saying, go out and protest, but as a saying, you're not alone. There are millions and millions of people all over this planet who feel the exact same way you do. And that's the one good thing that there is about protests, is when you see these protests and you go to one and there are thousands of people there, all of a sudden you lose that fear of standing alone, because you actually know that there are others standing there beside you. Even if the next day you're going back to work, you still know that you're not alone. That there are other people out there fighting the same way that you're fighting to try and change the system.
I want to ask the chat room if there's any of the other New Age memes that they're starting to question too, or that they've struggled with over the years. And which one that they've always known is just out and out bullshit.
Yeah, everything's perfect in this moment of now. That's one that has gotten under my skin the whole time. And now I'm just like, fuck that shit. Everything is not perfect in this moment of now, and it's our job to make it perfect. So let's go.
One of the things that I've been very cautious of since returning back to Australia is being reactionary. Okay. There was so much going on this year in Ashton, and so much suppression, and so many things to be angry about. And one of the reasons that we even are so fired up to take action is because we were trying to take action all year and it kept getting thwarted. And now those reins are off and so like we're free to take action.
Go!
But I don't want my own frustration or anger or however I've been shaken up to be the motivation for the next course of action, for my next steps. I want it to be coming from a really stable place of knowing within myself and not just reactionary. And this is, I'm cautious of supporting or, endorsing anybody these days.
Another feeling.
Once shy.
Yeah. And so I think you can be pretty sure that anything I share on these shows from now on is going to be stuff that I really, really, really thought about. Okay, a couple more comments. First, proof out there. So as many as possible can know what's going on, i.e. fluoride dangers and GMO dangers, what cell towers and microwaves do to the body, etc. A huge educational campaign is in order, or many will walk away disinterested and calling the rest woohoo. True. Much love to you. Says Ambi. She's sending everybody in the chat room love. Nice.
Well, this is, Lisa and I had a conversation, this actually was back in Oshtam, about doing a sit down, and it's probably going to end up, every time I look into this, it's expanding exponentially, probably a series of discussions talking about just specifically the parent and infant bond. And you touched on that earlier, and the what has been done and what is being done from conception almost forward to separate, and from the moment the child is born, including the actual procedures of childbirth, to separate a child, to damage and cut that bond between the parent and child so that they can control the child. This is an aspect that is so massively huge. And I was talking to Mel about it the other day, and I was saying, you know, like when we were during the QEG build, and we had like 75, 80 people, of really awake and aware people. And I sat down, and for 2 days solid, we had running conversations on this topic. And everyone sat there going, oh, I had no idea. Oh my God, I had no idea. And I had people come up to me afterwards saying, you helped me so much because you've actually helped me understand some of my own issues with my own parents now because of what was done to me as a child, as an infant, what was done to my parents during my childhood. This is an aspect that is so massively huge, and we talk about, you know, cell phones, and we talk about, you know, chemtrails and vaccines, but there's so much more that people don't know, and it's time for people to come together and start bringing this information out.
Yes, Brian?
That's why it's dangerous. It's a dangerous word to use to say. I realize to say, you know, to classify someone as awake or aware, all inclusive, because it's a sliding scale of awareness. You know, even the people that are most awake and they're most aware, they're not aware of everything. You know, some people might just be aware. You know, as an example, the big one, the smoking gun is September 11th. I know that was an inside that was an inside job. You know, but the amount of deception that we have to weed through as a human species, the amount of things that have been suppressed information-wise from us, there's always going to be so much to learn. Until there's some kind of massive disclosure of all the lies and some kind of, you know, documentary produced by the White Hat, whatever, that goes live on CCN and mainstream media to let everybody know everything that's been going on, it is a constant process of learning. You know, it's a constant process, but there has to be a desire to know truth. See, the thing is that seed strong within others. Some people don't care. They don't give a shit. You're trying to tell me I'm a slave to some system? Fine. I make my money. I drive my cars. I got my house. I'm happy. Fuck it.
Well, again, The Matrix comes to mind. That scene where the guy wants back in. Because he wants to enjoy that glass of red wine and that steak, and he doesn't care that he's actually sitting in a vat of goo somewhere. As long as he believes that that's what he's doing, he's happy.
Awareness is synonymous with empowerment. The more aware we are, the more we're empowered. I'm aware of a lot of things, and guess what? Most days, everybody knows this, I'm happier than a pig in shit. You know, I'm always running around with a smile on my face, cracking jokes, and I don't see myself as a victim, and I'm not super angry all the time. Yeah, I'm really passionate right now.
Losing you, Brian.
We're losing you, Brian.
Again, and I'm having to relearn. Shoot, am I back?
Losing you.
This Doesn't matter. Oh shit, you're losing me.
Grab over, Brian. No idea what you said.
Miss Brian, we'd like to have Brian back, please.
Is Brian back?
Okay, thank you. Much better. Now say that all again.
Well, no, I was just saying that sometimes with a lot of people, from what I've heard, just based on my own personal experience, information overload when it comes to truth scares people. It scares people because it challenges their worldview. I thought it was this way, and guess what? It's not. It's that way. I was so invested in this way over here. If it's that way over there, I don't know how to cope. I don't know how to deal with that. And to those people,
that's funny. It's funny.
It's safe.
I prided myself. I actually prided myself on not being attached. Right? Not being attached to any particular worldview, any belief system. And yet, when push came to shove, I found how hard it was to really, really reevaluate some of the things that I held close to my chest. It was not easy. The stuff that I really felt I'd taken on board and embodied. Even though I thought I hadn't attached to any of it, even though it was ugly. I'll just be really honest about that. It was ugly and it was painful. But I always fall back on, I don't know what I don't know. And if whatever belief system I'm holding at any particular moment needs to be reevaluated or needs to be completely eliminated, as painful as it is, I'm up for it, because my hope is always that it leads me one step closer to that objective truth. And it's truth I want above and beyond anything else.
And it's seeking that gets us there. And it's
being open.
It's a difficult thing. That's exactly, and an openness and a willingness to kind of allow information to come in, even if it challenges the way that we see things. You know, we had a certain guest on our show, and I'm not going to name him by name because I don't want to embarrass him. But he was challenged to explain where he got his information from as it pertained to galactics and whatnot. And he was so befuddled that it was, to me, it was very revealing. It's like, how much information that is out there do we just tout around because we heard it from someone else and it sounds good, or it sounds like something that we want to believe in? You know, that's why I read the quote from the Buddha a couple weeks ago, is because of the danger in just swallowing information as true when we don't know it to be true. Now, that's not to say to discover truth has to be discovered based on personal experience. That's not. A lot of examples that I could come up with that any personal experience that that the engine, that runs a car is an internal combustion and it needs all these components in order to be able to run. I've heard that from other people. I don't know the science behind it, but I've heard it enough to know that it's true. But there's a lot of things in the new age, even in the alternative media circuit, they're just too swallowed whole. Our job as truth seekers is to go through information and find the parts that we just because it resonates doesn't mean it's true. That's a common misconception. How much of what we've experienced in the last 2 years resonated, and it turned out to be bullshit. A lot. So an openness, like you just said, Dee, is crucial. An openness and an allowance to allow information to come in and challenge the way that we saw it before. And so there has to be a willingness, and that willingness is the thing that you can't force upon people. That's got to come organically in its own way to the individual when the individual is ready. But we can plant seeds that allow that openness, and then just together.
Right, it's recording again. You just touched on what I was referring to earlier about being reactionary, and John, who's doing our techie in the background there, has said the same thing, that what he's noticed lately in the thought forms of the collective is the pendulum swinging back from airy fairy love and light to I'm not going to take it anymore. And this is where we do need to be careful about being reactionary, and it is about finding that balance. Where you made the reference to the balance between the left and right hemispheres of the brain, and it's about having the awareness and the balance of right action that follows that. It's about not going off in just rampant rage, but funneling and channeling that righteous indignation or anger into something productive. We do need to find balance. I don't want all the love and light, airy fairy, new age people to turn around and go fuck this and go on a rampage. That's not going to serve. So
that could be fun to watch.
Yeah, it could get really ugly.
No, I really don't want to be the one who perpetuates that one.
No.
But it's the same thing. Lisa, you and I had this conversation. I mean, so many people, and I said, everyone talks about, the pendulum has been over here with this, masculine energy, blah, blah, blah. And all I was hearing is everyone going, we have to swing all the way over here to this divine feminine. And I was just like, yeah, no. This is equally as bad as this. What we want is the perfect balance between the two. It's not about swinging to the opposite extreme. The opposite extreme is never the answer. The answer is finding the balance point. It doesn't mean, for example, people could come in and hear this show and go, oh, you're all so angry. Yeah, there is a little of that there. I will totally admit that. But it doesn't mean that we don't love. It doesn't mean that we're not coming from a place of love. I love this planet, and I love the people on this planet, and I want to make this planet a better place because of that love. The difference is that I'm not going to sit on my ass anymore. Now I'm going to, everything isn't perfect in this moment of now, so now I'm going to get up and do whatever I can to make it perfect in this moment of now.
Yeah, that's actually one of the reasons why I appreciate, even though I don't completely resonate with the Calico War Party stuff and some of the language that's used in there, the initiative is what's cool. The fact that somebody is saying, well, wait a second, yeah, I'm not going to take it anymore, and I want to put forth something that inspires action in others. Let that be an allegory for the action that we can create on an individual level for ourselves and those around us. It doesn't have to be the Calico War Party. It could be something else completely different under a different name with a different objective. But it's another form of action, and it's in the action that things get done. We could talk about.
All right, I've got a question for you. And this could be quite a controversial one. I'm not sure.
Oh, here it comes.
Back to defending ourselves, right? If somebody wants to break into my home and harm me or my family, I do believe I have absolutely the right to defend myself. I'm not going to sit there and go, well, I created this, and it's just my perspective to see this person as being harmful, and blah, blah, blah. I'm going to defend myself. I'm going to defend my kids. If there is... It could be anything from a TV station that's putting out nothing but propaganda to a water treatment plant that is poisoning our water supply, to a cell tower which has got a cancer cluster within 100 meters of it, to, I don't know, a church or something where that there's a whole bunch of pedophilic activity going on. Whatever it is, whatever the structure and the infrastructure is, can it be seen as a form of self-defense to take that infrastructure out? Or is that purely a destructive act?
Define take that structure out.
Are we talking dynamite here? Or are we talking like...
whatever it takes to make it inactive. I mean, if that's just getting in there and snipping some wires, well, that can be fixed.
And that's just it. See, this
rendering
is the
it
thing.
inactive.
Exactly. I mean, this is the thing. If you blow something up, it can just be built again. If you snip some wires, it can just be fixed. The idea is never, for me, is never to take something down, i.e. destroying it, in a physical way. It's take it down, even if it's through the education. Prime example, the city of Guelph, Ontario, Nestle is in there pumping out groundwater like freaking crazy. And most of the people in Guelph never had no concept of Nestle as a bad company, anything else. Now, I'd have to say that probably 30 or 40% of the town are fighting against them. Why? Because a group of really staunch, driven people went door to door and educated these people and said, you live here, they are stealing your water. This is how much water they're pumping a day. This is how much Mother Earth wants to make you. Do the math. And because of that, they are now in lawsuits and they are winning the battle. So taking down can mean going out there, and it doesn't mean, like you say, going on
but
Facebook.
I was being very specific about literally being destroying infrastructure.
Okay.
Yeah,
let me answer that in my own way.
Because that's
Well,
one of the
first of all,
things the Kalika War
let's
Party
use
is calling for.
Let's use your local Catholic church as an example, and just the one that you just used, full of pedophiles, whatever. The Catholic Church in your neighborhood is a symptom. The cause is the Vatican, right? And all of the religious dogmatic beliefs that allows that archetype to continue to have fuel, have energy. And so I think that one of the main reasons why nonprofits and charities have posed to be so ineffective in a lot of ways, and I've talked about this in my work lately, is they focus on the symptoms and not the cause. And so it's like, with charity, the whole idea behind charity is you want to give, the whole idea of giving somebody, some kind of charitable donation is you want to put them in a position where they no longer need that donation. And that's why, feeding the homeless is a great service, but it doesn't fight against poverty. And so I think a lot of these things, these initiatives that we take part in as passionate people inspired to go out and create change, and we really look long and hard at that which we are trying to create or disembody, and we say, is this a symptom or is this the cause? And we focus our energy more on the cause and less on the symptoms, because if you're talking about blowing up a church, and then I'm just using that as an example. I'm not saying anything blow up at churches out there. That's crazy. But there very well could be one built right next door. So what are the causes that's creating this system of deception in slavery? And how can we psychologically, with our energy, get it to start to really shake things up to where the energy that they continue to feed off of is no longer there. The plug is pulled from the wall. The fuel isn't going to continue to fuel the engine, and the engine stops running.
Well, this goes back to what I was saying in the beginning about even if we all, took action or joined the Kalika War Party or whatever and started, eradicating these beings from the planet, that alone would not fix the problem, because they would continue to be replaced, and the collective mindset, the collective consciousness has not changed and shifted.
Exactly.
The cause. So, yeah, it has to be a two-pronged approach.
Well, this is the thing. Nick just said it to me a few moments ago. A lot of these things that we talk about in infrastructure are a tool, right? So, municipal water supply, well, it might be full of fluoride, etc. It's still a tool, and it's a tool that isn't the problem. The problem is the people putting the fluoride in the water, right? So if you start talking about taking down things, for example, like a high energy frequency power lines, or a cell tower, or like without blowing up a church because you know there's a pedophile priest in there. That isn't a solution. The church is just a tool. The cell phone tower is a tool. That cell phone tower, you could blow it up and the person trying to dial 911 all of a sudden can't get their call through and someone drops dead of a heart attack. Right? I mean, this is the thing. It's about, for me, it is about educating people. Change the perception. If you can shift the perceptions and bring people to a place of understanding of what the use is, as a mass, as a group, you can then fight back. If it is things like taking back your groundwater, about having these high-powered lines taken out of the middle of the playground, it can be done. I've watched it done. I've participated in making radical changes to things happen. So I know it can be done. But it takes people, and I'm going to probably offend a lot of people right now, it takes you getting off your fucking ass. It means doing something, not just sitting back and going, oh, I'll just post this on Facebook. I'm sorry, guys, this is the time of action now. If you want to make a change, then get up and make a change. But that means getting up off your ass and do something about it. So I'll get off the soapbox now. That's just one of my pet peeves.
I think one of the most common challenges amongst the masses is that you have all these people that want to do something and they want to be a part of the change. I mean, we've been there at one point or another in our life, and you don't know what to do, you know? And I think that not really knowing what to do or feeling like any one person can truly make a difference stops a lot of people. And I think that so the solution to that would be for those that are really motivated. You know, there's a lot. I mean, there's going to be so much that happens. 2015 hasn't even started yet, and I can already foresee some of the stuff that we are going to be facing. And some of it's fun and awesome because things are going to start breaking down, and some stuff just ain't going to be pretty. And as these things start to unfold, as these things start to occur in our reality, you better believe the fire is going to be lit under some people's asses that have been, you know, motivated to be a part of the change, not knowing what to do. Well, guess what? There's about to be a lot of different areas in life that are going to be presented where people are going to be able to play a role. So I wouldn't even have to worry about looking for, because it's going to be right in our faces. As far as I'm concerned, that's my
I have an idea. I have an idea. So, what Brian just said, yeah, I know. Look at there's like steam coming out of my ears and everything.
Yeah, already, yeah.
Okay, no, listen, Lisa, this is a good one.
Okay.
And I'm going to get LV on board with this because I think this is a major one. People don't know how to be the change. People don't know necessarily how to move forward. So sometimes they need to look at examples. So why don't we put a call out to people to say, have you been involved in changing something? No matter how little or how big. Record a video clip, tell your story, what was the problem, what you did about it, and how that change was affected around you, right? Get these stories out. Okay, Brian, I'm sorry, Brian's screen is frozen, and I can't.
That's too
funny. You're very distracting, Brian.
Oh, no.
So,
shit.
So, you know, this is the whole thing. Like, you know, we need to give people examples. Say, hey, you know what? This happened in my local community. This is what we did about it. So that other people can then listen to these and go, oh, I could do that. This is a fucking great idea. And look, this person who's just, you know, a mom like me did exactly that, and they were able to make a change. So I think this is actually a really, really important thing that we could move forward with, even on CCN, if we could get people, bring these clips in and put them out there. What can you do to make a change? Here you go.
I'll give you one evolutionary idea to take that concept to be and expand upon it. First of all, I like it. We become an aggregator for all the change that's all the people out there that are already doing awesome things for change. There's so many in the research that I've been doing lately, what I've found is so much inspiring work been based from individuals and groups all over the world. The problem is the challenge is the same challenge for a lot of other things is a lack of awareness. And I think that there's a lot of these, for lack of a better word, movements that have so much potential. They're just completely underexposed, and a lot of people don't know about it. You know, there's 7 billion people. You better believe there's people out there shaking shit up right now. So we could have people out there, you know, just in this constant, you know, if we had this one place where people go see, almost like a meetup. I don't know if you guys are familiar with meetup.com. Meetup can put in your zip code and what you're interested in, spirituality or whatever, and it'll give you all the local groups gathering around that topic, around that theme. You could have a meetup.com, but like a change aggregator service where there's all the networks of all the people that are out there doing change, all found under one umbrella.
Nice. Very nice. And Jeff just said aggregator, yes. Group actions like the courtesy notices. I mean, can you imagine if we had the numbers that we had participating in courtesy notices, participating in flash mobs, or any other project we took on? I mean, that's powerful. Millions and millions and millions of courtesy notices around the world were sent in. Hi, Dee. You've only got 5 minutes to go. You're muted, by the way.
Yeah, but I was running out of power, so I had to come back inside.
Yeah, we do only have a few minutes left. So thank you for today's conversation, guys. It was good to actually throw that around a bit and get some feedback. You just want to hear?
And we'd like more feedback, please.
Andrea is just saying that she used a courtesy notice in her hometown. She sent it directly to a judge she knows, and no action was taken against her 2 years ago. Not a peep.
Nice.
Yeah.
Shows the filings are real.
And there is power in numbers. I mean, there just is, and which is why the new network, the new platform, is exciting, because it brings together a number of different alternative media individuals or groups like us, putting us all on one platform. We, just in case there's any confusion, we remain the one network, and we remain with our own presence and our own shows. That doesn't change. And you can still go to the one network to watch live. And so our listen live page will become our watch live page. So that's kind of exciting. And for those of you who might be listening who have already signed up as one of our supporters, we will be having our first supporters call in January. So we're about to set a date on that one. And our first recipient for the Pay It Forward program. So that I'm looking forward to that too. There is a lot happening. We may be doing a surprise show on New Year's Eve, right at midnight, I believe, GMT time. It'll be 4 o'clock in the afternoon, I think, for me on New Year's Day. So depending on what I get up to New Year's Eve will depend on whether I'm there or not. And that will be to sort of launch the new platform. And it'll be everybody involved, as far as I can tell, everybody who can make it. Is there anything else you guys wanted to comment on before we sign off?
No, I think we've covered
Bring
quite a
on
bit
the warrior spirit.
tonight. Yeah, we are the warrior spirit.
Yeah.
Bring on the warrior spirit, people. It's time.
The warrior spirit.
2016.
And I know that we are powerful, energetic beings.
Mm-hmm.
And I've personally experienced some incredible things with just the two of you alone, you know, energetically. And it's time, for me, it's time for me to harness that and be more proactive with it. And whether, you know, I can call it working with the energetics because it sounds all spiritual and new age, but I know what I'm doing, you know. And that's where my call to my inner warrior is calling, basically, is to, that's the kind of action I want to take. And I guess I've always done that. That's why the Collective Imagination show came about in the first place, you know. I mean, that's what we do on that show, is collectively use the energetics and infuse the collective imagination, the collective consciousness. That's what we do on that show. So just embracing that more, stepping into that more, being more proactive in that area. That's what I want to do. I'm not necessarily into taking out infrastructure either. But it does need to be repurposed. When we go back to that conversation, there is a lot of infrastructure. There's a lot of services, and there is also some that just need to be eliminated. They do not serve a purpose. They do not serve humanity. They do not provide a good or a service that benefits anybody other than
Like government departments.
Like government departments. They are there purely to infringe upon us and to make money for a handful of people. And those can be eliminated, I believe. And not necessarily through violent means, but they need to go. And many just need to be repurposed. That's where I'm at.
Here, here.
Here, here.
We're with you, Lisa.
Thank you. All right, guys.
Yeah.
We will. I'll talk to you guys. Well, very, very soon, I'm sure. And
Yes.
to everybody in the chat room, thank you for joining us. Michael and I'll be back tomorrow with the Collective Imagination. And see you soon. Tap into that inner warrior.
That's right.
With love.
Bye for now.
Bye.
Bye, everyone.